Welcome. So now let's continue. This is the introduction to Photoshop. So we're going to be learning how to create, open a new file, how to close a file, how to import into a file, and how to export after we are done designing, how to save to JPEG, PNG, and the rest. So the first things first, you have to open your Photoshop, and when you open your Photoshop, this is the first page you will see. This is the first page you will see, and this page contains your recent, it contains your new file. You can see it here, open, and it also has your menu buttons. Okay, now yours may not look like mine is looking right now, but with time it will look like this when you start working with Photoshop. The reason why mine is like this is because I have designed things before, and all my recents, they just pop up here. Okay, so let's move on. Now, how do you open a file in Photoshop? It's quite easy. All you need to do is go to File, New, or Open to open a new file. So let's start with the new. Let's create a new file. So when you click on New, this prompt opens up, or this window opens up. Now you can select the size you want. This is A5, which is half of A4. Then this is 1080 by 1400. This is a social media design size. This is 1080 by 1080. Also note that it is at 300 ppi, which is 300 pixels. Okay, 300 pixels. Now the width and height, if you look at the preset details here, you can set the name of this file. Let's say test file. It can be anything you want. Basically, it can be anything you want. Then you can then save this preset as a saved size. Okay, then it will pop up here. So let's say this size is test 1. When we click on save presets, if you come to your save, you will see it here, test 1. Okay, you can save sizes that you frequently use to avoid always going back and always typing 1080 by 1080. Okay, but you will also see it in your recent. So that aside, your size already is in pixels. Okay, because Photoshop is a raster software. Okay, Photoshop is a raster software, and it works with raster images, in the sense that it works with images that are in pixels, that are made up of different grid lines. Okay, so a raster image is basically it consists of a matrix of cells or pixels that are organized into rows and columns, or a grid where each cell contains a value representing information such as temperature. So raster are digital aerial photographs. Okay, they are imagery from satellites, digital pictures, or even scan maps. The picture you take with your phone is a raster image. Okay, they are made up of pixels, they are made up of grids that are organized into rows and columns. So Photoshop is a raster software. We have what we call a vector software, which is Adobe Illustrator and CorelDRAW. Those are vector softwares, because what they deal with is not pixels. What they deal with is lines. They deal with lines. Okay, but we're not going to get into that, because what we are concentrating on today is Photoshop. So now, going forward, we have the width, the height. You can customize this to how you want it to be. Then we have the resolution. Then we also have the RGB color. Then you can see the background content is set to transparent and not color. You can set it to white or any one you want, but for this class we are going to leave it at transparent. So the color mode is RGB color. I'm going to tell you that you should leave it at RGB color. This is because RGB color is for screens, but CMYK is for prints. Just have that at the back of your head. RGB is for screens, CMYK is for print. So while we are done selecting the size we want, we are going to be going back with 1080 by 1080. We click on create. So when you click on create, a new this is known as your workspace, it opens up. Now this is where you do all your magic. This is where you will do all the magic for this course. Now the first thing we are going to be touching in that sense is, first of all, we have already created a new one. We are going to open an already existing file. Let me just quickly show us that. So go to File, go to Open, then go to where you saved your Photoshop file. This is things that are already designed in Photoshop that you just want to go back to. Okay, I'm going to open this one. Let me open Resource Pack. Then I'm going to click on resource pack, then click on open. It opens up the file. Okay, so just wait for it. You can see that it's loading. You can see that the cursor is loading. So when it opens, this is our resource flyer that was already designed in Photoshop. Okay, this was already designed in Photoshop. So that's how to open an already existing file in Photoshop, a Photoshop file. Okay, so you can close this. Okay, you can close this. Then the next thing we are going to be touching is how to import pictures, documents, or anything into Photoshop. So the first thing we are going to do is still the same place, file, then go to place embedded. Now when you click on place embedded, this opens up. Now I'm going to go to downloads because what I want to import is in downloads. Then I'm going to be picking this background here. Then I click on place. Now when I click on place, this opens up. So I'm just resizing this. I'm going to talk about this later, or as time goes on you will understand what I'm doing right now. I just resized it to fit the entire background. Okay, now after that is done, of course you now know how to import files into your Photoshop canvas. This is your canvas. So the same thing, we are going to go to file again. I'm going to do this again so that you can get a wing of it. Place embedded. Mind you, is place embedded and not export. So you click on what you want to import into your Photoshop canvas, then you click on place. Now it comes up, so I'm just going to resize this as well depending on your preference. So we're done importing this. I'm going to bring it down a bit. We're done importing this into our Photoshop canvas. So that's how to import things into your canvas. Let's say you have an image that you want to use for a design. That's how to do it. Okay, you can also use the drag and drop method. You can also use the drag and drop method where you open a folder. Okay, then go to downloads, then just pick the image and just drop it. So you can also use that method, which is actually very quick, but I prefer the place embedded method. So it depends on what you want. So now the next thing we are going to be talking about is how to close. Now, of course, you should even know how to close, because I expect that most of you here that's come to learn, you're already acquainted with the system. You already know how to use the system. But for the sake of this class, I'm just going to show you how to close your document. So the first thing you want to do is to click on, you can go to file, then just click on close. Okay, close, Ctrl W, close. Now what this will do is that it will close the existing file, to close the file that is open currently. So when you click on yes, it will ask you, do you want to save? Do I want to save? Do I really want to save? No. So just click on this and click on no, you do not want to save. So that closes just the file that was open. Let me do that again so that you get it. I'm opening the resource pack PSD file right now. So when that has opened up, I want to close just this. I don't want to close Photoshop. I want to close just this window. What do? I can go to file, then go to close. It closes it. Are you saying it? But in a case where it was not saved, it will ask you, do you want to save? You click on no and you move on. Now the workspace we are going to be using for this, I'm just going to open a new file again so that I can show you the workspace we are going to be using. Currently I'm on essentials. Now how do you change your workspace? For instance, your workspace doesn't look like mine does and you really want to follow along. All you need to do is go to your window. You can see where I'm clicking. Go to window, then go to workspace. You can see it's already set to default essentials. You can go to graphics or web. Of course, it will change your view. This is graphics or web, but for this class we are going to be using essentials. Okay, thank you very much. So that's the workspace we are going to be using for this class. In the next class we are going to be talking about our layers and our tools panel. Thank you for watching. See you in the next class. So, introduction to the layer panel. Now before we move on to the tools box, I really want us to understand the layer panel. So going there, we will not have to be coming back to this. So the layer panel, first of all, let's get on to designing what layers are in Photoshop. So layers are like stacked layers, are stacked sheets of glass. Okay, they are stacked look at them as stacked sheets of glasses that you can paint on. Okay, look at them like that, that you can paint on. And for each glass, you can see through it. They are transparent in a sense. You can see the layers below them, you can see the layers above them. So you can work on each layer independently without affecting the other one. Okay, without affecting the other one. Unless you combine them together, a layer remains independent. Okay, so for your text, your shapes, your color, everything will be separated into layers. Okay, and unlike the popular opinion where people say that abeg layers are difficult to work with, that's not the case. Okay, I feel like layers, in fact, is a knowing. Layers are easier to work with than having to work upon stacked upon images. They are just stacked upon each other like that without any structure and anything. The layer panel gives you freedom to edit each element independent of the other without affecting the other one. So if you have designed with your phone before, you would even understand what I'm saying. You would understand what I'm saying better, because Pixel Lab is also a software that works with layers as well. Okay, so let's move on. Now your layer panel is unique in a sense. It's very, very important. It's even more important than even your design, because without the layer panel you cannot create design. Your layer panel is as important as your Photoshop software. Okay, now let's move on. Now you can see that this layer panel only has one element, which is the canvas that's presently here. But I want to add something else. So what I want to add is a solid color to this background so that I can start my design. So all I need to do is to come to the create new adjustment layer, which is this middle fourth option that you can see my cursor on right now. So once you click on it, different options will pop up. Then all you need to do is click on solid color, because that's what I want to create. You can also click on gradient pattern or any one of your choice, but we're going to go with solid color because I want to fill my background with a color. So I'm just going to pick a color I'm satisfied with. I'm going to pick a color that I'm satisfied with. I'm going to, let me pick this color 0071 BC. Now this thing I just did is called a color X. Is a color code for the color. Is a blue color, but is a color code for this particular color. Now all colors have their code. You can just go online and type gold color code and it will bring it up for you, and all you need to do is copy it from your browser and paste it in, and you have your color. Okay, you can try that right now. You can pause the video and try that and come back. Okay, so we also have the RGB color. Now the RGB color, it works the same way the color code works. Okay, but it's longer. Instead of having just 6 numbers or 6 digits, you have about 9 for RGB. Now red has three numbers, green has 3 numbers, and black has 3 numbers. So you can also search for RGB color code for gold or blue, and it brings it up for you, and you just type it in here and you have your color. Okay, now that's it for the color picker tool. Then you can just click on OK and your color is selected. Okay, you can now see that I have this color separated into a different layer entirely. Are you seeing it? I'm going to add another layer on top of this layer. Okay, I'm going to add another layer on top of this layer, and that layer is the pattern layer. Now this pattern layer, let me bring this here. This pattern layer is, like the name implies, pattern. Okay, you can come here and select the pattern you want for your design. You can see tree tile. Okay, in case you don't like that, you can click on the next one, which is grass. You can also add your own custom pattern. Okay, but I'm not going to teach us that in this class. It's going to come in a later class. I think I like this one, the first one, so I'm going to just click on OK. You can change the angle of which it's facing. You can see that something is happening. Then when you change that, you can also change the scale. Okay, the width of each item on the pattern. Then when done, you can go to OK. can click OK for it to activate. It's slow. You can click OK for it to come up. Then you can now reduce the opacity. You can see we have something called opacity, because I don't want to lose my blue background that I put there. I want it. But you can now see that the pattern layer was separated from the color fill. The pattern layer was separated from the color fill. They were separated into two different backgrounds. So can you see that? Can you see how beautiful this is? It gives you control. Now if I'm to come here now and add a text, horizontal type tool. If I come here and add a text, let's say welcome. Okay, just please wait a bit for it to show. It is up. I don't know why my system is slow today, but you get the whole idea of what I'm trying to say. Now this is the layer one. This is the layer one. Okay, you can see that this is showing T, which is text layer. Now the font is small, that's why you cannot see it. You can zoom in to actually see it, but we can't still see it because the font is really small. If you look at the font up here, you are seeing 0.84 pt, which is even smaller than 1. So let's make this 72 up there. You can see that this font is so big now. So let's just make it 24. Okay, you can see it now. You can now see it. So now this layer was separated again. It was separated into a fresh layer. You can see it, meaning that each layer I can edit it separately. Now let's go back to our pattern fill. Because I want to still see my color fill, I'm going to reduce the opacity of this pattern fill, and I can do that by coming to this one here named opacity. I can just click on the opacity and drag, or I can as well come here and just reduce using this regulator here. So I'm going to leave it at 18%. You can see what 18% got us. So that's for your layer panel. In the next class, we are going to be touching our tools box, which is right here. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone. Hello. So for those of you that have watched the first and second video, this is the third video showing you your tools box, which you are going to be interacting with for the rest of this class. In fact, the entirety of this class, you are going to be using your tools box a lot of times. Okay, so now your tools box, how do you use it? So like I said, go to your new file. So for this this class, we're going to be using 1080 by 1350. Click on create. You can do that by now. So now this is your toolbox. This right here is your toolbox. Then this toolbox is where you have all the tools you can use to work. So I'm just going to go right ahead to explain what each and every one of them, their function, and also some very important ones that we're going to be using a lot. So first of all, I'm going to add a background color by coming here. Okay, just click here, your adjustment layer, and I'm going to select a very dark green because I'm going to be typing on this. I want my text to show. So this first tool is, of course, your most important tool in Photoshop. Your most important tool. Sorry about that. Let me one of your most important tools that you're going to be working with in your class is the move tool. Now, this move tool basically is what helps you move things around in Photoshop, helps you pick things, help you resize things. That's your move tool. Then we also have another tool called the artboard tool that I'm going to get onto later. And any tool that you see that have this little triangle by the edge at angle 90, if you can see it, it means that it has another tool inside. So once you right click on it and click there, you see your artboard tool. That is the extra tool under move tool. The artboard tool, we're not going to be using it now, but it's a tool where you can create different canvas like this, create more than one canvas on your workspace and work with. So if you click on artboard tool and you click on your present artboard, click on artboard tool, you can see some plus at the side. So you can just click on one of these plus to create another page. But that's not what we're going to do. So what we are going to, that's not what we want to do for this project. So what we are going to do is we are going to go to edit and we are going to go to on do new artboard. So once you click that, it will undo what what you have done. And also you can also click on you can also click Control Z on your keyboard. You can also press Control Z on your keyboard to undo that which you've done. So that's that. The next tool we have there is your rectangular selection tool, which we are going to delve deeply into as the class goes on. So your rectangular selection tool is where you can select objects rectangularly and maybe delete their background or just to crop it. That's your rectangular tool. And of course, it has other tools like the elliptical marquee tool, the single row marquee tool, the single column marquee tool. So all these are selection options that you can use. This is for circular selection, and this is for single row when you want to select something on a particular row. So that's it. Then we also have your polygonal lasso tool. Polygonal lasso tool, which is used to select images to remove their background, which I'm going to be sharing a video with you on how to do that. So once you click on it, you see other tools there, which is your lasso tool. This is more like a free form selection tool where you just drag your mouse around to select. Okay, that's the selection I just made. So another one we have here is your magnetic lasso tool, which lashes on to a particular shape to select it. If you had the shape, it would have gone rounded. So for me, I like using the polygonal lasso tool because it is much more accurate. Yeah. Then also we have your quick selection tool. This tool is really effective when you have same color background. So you can use your quick selection tool. Then we also have object selections where you can select a particular object from a picture. Maybe you have a man on a beach. You can just select the man alone. Then we have your quick selection tool, which works the same way the magic wand works, but less is less accurate. It selects colors that are the same. So for me, I like using the magic wands tool most of the time. But there are some images that you want to crop out, that you want to select, that the quick selection tool would work fine for you. Then this one is your crop tool. This one at the bottom here is your crop tool where you can crop images, and of course there are other things in it. We have perspective crop tool. All of these tools, most of these tools, at the end of the day, you see that you don't even use them. Like for this one right here, okay, I barely use it. I barely use the frame tool. I've not had any reason to actually use it. It's something that I barely use. Okay, but it works really well. You can use it to place objects on another object, which is really nice. Then we have your eyedropper tool where you can select a particular color. As you can see, so if you click on your eyedropper tool, it can help you select a particular color, and that color gets added to this column here. Okay, you can select two or more colors here, it gets added here. Okay, then we have your patch tool, which is used to patch up images. Let me just try and get an image so that I can quickly work on it with the patch tool, so you understand what I mean. So for your patch, for the patch tool, which image would be best for this example now? Um, okay, so let's use okay, no, okay, I'm coming. Okay, let's use this. Let's use this. So now, what we want to do is that we want to use the patch tool to clean a particular part of this design. So what you need to do is, for the patch tool, is like taking another part in your design and using it. I have to rasterize it. I'll explain what rasterization means. So it's already rasterized. So it's taking a particular part of an image and replacing it with another part. So for this example, we are going to select, sorry, I'm doing what I did. So we are going to select, let's say we want to remove contactors from this shoe, okay? So we are going to select this part roughly, just try and select it roughly, and we're just going to try and clean it up with the other parts. Okay, you can do it as many times as you want until you get what you're looking for. You can see that it has white patches, okay, because the space we're using to clean it up is not wide enough. But you can just keep doing this till it becomes really white and it's what you're looking for. All right, you can see that it's already taking shape. It's already taking shape. When you're doing this, it's because of this class. When doing this, you just have to be extra careful and take it one step at a time. I'm just trying to do this for this purpose. So as you can see, we've succeeded in removing contactors, but because we did it roughly, you can see there are some edges that are not really neat. So you can just keep working on it, just keep doing it till you get what you want. So you see, the more I do it, the more it gets better. So that's how your patch tool works. Really great tool actually when you want to make minor edits. You can see that it's looking nice already. So that's for your patch tool. And there are other tools there that you can use. We have your healing brush tool, we have your spot healing brush tool. This mostly is for images, image editing when you want to remove maybe a spot on the person's face. Then we have red eye tool, we have content aware move tool. So if you really want to know how to use these different tools specifically, you can just go on YouTube and watch how to use them. But for the sake of this video, so that we don't have an hour-long video, we are going to be keeping it really short. Okay. So the one we concentrated on is the patch tool because that's the one you're going to be using mostly. Your inning brush tool works the way your patch tool works. It takes a particular part of the image and uses it to edit one other part of the image. Then also we have your brush tool, which can be used more like an eraser, or you can use it to clean, put a color that is here on your canvas. So we don't need this right now. There's a classwork you're going to do that we're going to be using the brush tool um, a lot. Then we have your clone stamp tool. Now this your clone stamp tool is really really beautiful tool because it helps you select a particular part of an image or an object and place it somewhere else, as you can see. Then you can increase the brush size, that's the size of what you're exposing, by coming here at the top and increasing the size. So if we come here, hold down Alt on your keyboard and click the part you want to expose, click on it and come here, you see that you're already exposing the first part and putting it in this other part. So as you can see, we're literally changing the whole design by taking a particular part and putting it in another part. But please, this should be used when it's needed and not involuntarily. All right, so let's undo that by going to edit, then undo. Make sure you select your move tool whenever you want to move things around. Okay, so I've selected my move tool. I'm just trying to undo what I did by holding down Control and Z. So that's after that is done. This tool is one tool I barely use. It's your history brush tool. I barely use it. But if you want to learn how to use it, which I don't even think you necessarily need, if you want to learn how to use it, that's fine as well. You can do that. So your eraser tool is a really interesting tool. Though I barely use it, I think I use more of my brush tool. So for you to use this eraser tool well, you have to come here and click on this little black and white here to change it to black and white. Then go back and select your eraser tool. Select. I don't know why it's still showing green. I think that has to do with my system. But if you change it to black and white, yours should work just perfectly. Okay. So we have your eraser tool, we have your background eraser tool, we have your magic eraser tool. Now this background eraser tool is mostly used for images that you want to just remove their background. Okay. So yours should work just as fine. Then we have your gradient tool, which I'm going to be explaining to you in a later lesson. Then we have your text tool, which is a really important tool in Photoshop because this is where you're going to put your text. This is where you're going to be typing a lot. Then when you want to use it, just click on it and click on this place you want to type and just type in what you want to type. Let me delete this image. So I'm going to select my move tool. I want to delete the image I imported. So click on your move tool, click on the image and just either come to this bottom here and delete, or on your keyboard just press delete once you've selected it. So this is my text tool. Okay, good. So now we've selected the text, and to edit it we can just go to properties and then we'll see different edits we can do. So it can change the font, we can change the font size, we can change the line spacing, so many things we can do to this font. Okay, so the next thing we have that I want us to look at is your shape tool because you're going to be using this a lot. Then under your shape tool we have rectangle, ellipse, triangle, polygon, line and custom shape tool. So your rectangle tool, all you need to do is click on it and come to your canvas and just drag and drop when you get what you want. Or if you have a size, excuse me, if you have a specific size in mind, you can just come here, then click once. This pops up. Then you can put in the width and the height in pixels. All right. So now we are going to come here and click on ellipse tool, and we're just going to drag till we get what we want. But you see that um my ellipse tool, once I click and drag, what is happening is that I'm not getting a perfect circle, and I want a perfect circle. So what you can do is that you can hold down shift on your keyboard and just drag. That's why you drag to draw, hold down shift. Okay, if you leave shift, this is what happens. But if you hold down shift, this is what happens. So make sure you try this even as you're watching this video. The next thing we have there is your triangle tool. Click on it and draw. You can see the same thing is happening to our triangle tool. So let's say we want a perfect triangle. Same thing applies. Hold down your shift button. So the next one is your polygon tool. Same thing will happen to this, except you hold down your shift button. Okay, I think we all get the idea now. All right, then finally your line tool, where you can draw a line. Now, if you do not hold down shift, your line will be going everywhere. So what you should do is hold down shift to draw a line, especially if you want a straight line. Okay, especially if you want a diagonal line. All right, then finally we have the custom shape. What this helps you do is that it helps you to create custom shapes of your choice. Okay, so you can come here and click on the particular shape that you want. There are different options here, and you can also install shapes. You can actually download shapes and install. Just click on these settings here, click on the setting and click on append, import shapes. So when you click on import shapes, you can now select the shapes that you have downloaded. But for this class, I'm not going to be going into that. So I want to delete this one that I did here. So you can see that your shape tool is actually a very useful tool in Photoshop. Then let's say you are working on a piece and your window is like this. It becomes difficult to work with because it's too small, right? So what you can do is you can click on your zoom tool and go over the page and just drag. All right, see what I'm doing? Just drag till you get what you want. And if you have a mouse or your trackpad, you can just use two fingers and just move around. Okay, as you can see, can use two fingers. If in case you're not using a mouse, you can use two fingers to just hold down Alt and just slide down to zoom in, then slide upward to zoom out. All right. So that's another really helpful thing. Then one other thing you can use is your hand tool. Let's say we zoom in, but we are not seeing a particular side of the design. So you can just use your hand tool to move it to where you want to see, like I'm doing right now. So that's it for introduction to your toolbox. I hope you find this video really helpful, and leave a like, follow so that you get more updates in the coming um weeks. So that's it for this class. The next thing we're going to talk about after this video is your layer effects. Before finally you are going to be doing a practical on your own. So that's it. See you in the next video. Bye.
Okay, guys. Lastly, one thing we want to touch is the explanation of the layer blend modes. That's one thing I want us to touch before I leave you for now. Okay, the layer effect is something that most people tend to just use without understanding what each one is meant for. So first of all, we are going to explain what blending modes are. So a blending mode is an effect you can add to a layer to change how the colors blend with colors on lower layers. Okay, you can change the look of your illustration simply by changing the blending mode, meaning you can change the look of your design by simply changing the blending mode. So now, how can I change a blending mode? How can you change a blending mode? Now, the best way to change a blending mode is to once a layer is selected, you can just click on this one here. Okay, but let me explain. So a blending mode on default, it is set to normal. Okay, by default it is set to normal. Anything drawn with 100% opacity will appear opaque. That is, it will not, nothing, you cannot see through it. Do you understand? So anything set in that layer when it's normal, it will be set to opaque. It will be set to 100% opacity. I've explained what opacity is. Opacity is the same as transparency. Okay, so the layer underneath it is not visible. Like you can see here, I drew a white and black rectangle. You can see that it is not visible. Now you can change how the colors blend with the lower layers. Okay, with lower layers by changing the blending mode. Do you understand? Now to change the blending mode of a layer, simply select the layer. For instance, black. Select the layer, then select and change the mode. Once you select the layer, go to the drop down here and change it to the mode you want. Now if you look at dissolve, darken, multiply, color bond, linear bond, darker color, lighting. If you look at lighting affected it because it is black. Screen will also affect it because screen hides black colors. I will explain very soon. Screen will hide the black colors and amplify the bright colors. Now let's say this design that is here now, let's do something. Let's go to adjustment layer and click on gradient. Let's bring my gradient here. Sorry, I want to add it to the image itself, so I'm going to be going to effects, okay, because I want to add it to the layer itself. So I'm going to layer effect instead of the other one, instead of adjustment layer. So now what I will do now is to go to gradient overlay because I want it inside the same object, not outside, not a new layer. I want it inside the same object. So I'm going to go to gradients. Now when you click on gradients, this will come up. Go to basics because I want it black and white. Now if you look at this black and white, draw the drop down. Sorry, it has gone off. Draw this to this point because I want you to see what I want to do. So let's click on okay. Now if you come back and select screen, if you come back and select screen on this layer, you are not seeing anything because it's hiding the first color. So what we are going to do in this case is to right click, and I'm going to convert this to a smart object first of all. So now if you look at this, the reason why I converted it to a smart object is so that all those other colors will be merged into one. I'm going to explain what smart object is, or as Mr. Peace is teaching you, he's going to explain what a smart object is. I think you already did that, but with time you will learn so much more from this class. So now if you click on screen, let me revert back to normal. This is the normal black and white together. Now when you click on screen, you see that anything black in this image, it completely cleared it off. But when it comes to the white, it kept white. White is still there. Now what does this tell you? When it comes to screen blend mode, it will hide the dark colors and leave the bright colors. Now it will, mind you, it will hide 100% black and leave white. Meaning that if this was 99% black, a bit of black will still be showing. Do we understand that? So let's move on. Okay, so there are a number of blending modes. We have the normal, which is the default. We have the normal, we have the darken. Now this darken compares the color of the blending layer and keeps the darker colors. For instance, let's move on. Normal, let's go to darken. Now it will compare the layer beneath and the layer above, and it will keep the darker color. Mind you, screen will remove the dark color, but darker blend mode, that's darken blend mode, will keep the dark colors and remove the bright colors. If you do darken on this plain white here, this is what will happen. Completely off. Are you saying it? It's completely off. So let's take it back to normal because this is the one we're going to be working with. Then the second one here is known as multiply. Now multiply will multiply the colors of the blending layer and the base layer, resulting in a darker color. Now this mode is useful for coloring shadows. We are going to get there. So now let's go to multiply. Are you saying it will still darken the colors? For instance, now let's say you want something darker. or let me delete this. Now to hide, let me hide this layer. To hide a layer, click on this I button here. I've hidden that layer. Now I'm going to draw a rectangle over this entire image. When that is done, I want to turn this to, let's say, a dark green. Click OK. Now when you do that, you click on multiply. See that your image is now darker, because to compare the colors, the two colors, and it will darken your image. So if your image was white, to darken it. Do you understand? So now color burn. The color burn is named after the photography film development technique of burning images. Now when you come to color burn, this is what it will do. It will burn images. That is overexposing the print to make the colors look very dark. So this blending mode, it darkens colors and increases the contrast of the base color, which is the background color that we have here. Okay, then we also have the subtract, of which it subtracts colors resulting in a darker color. So let's do that quickly. Where's subtract? Where are you? This is subtract here. So are you seeing it? Okay, so that is the use of subtract. Then we have lighting. Just like the name implies, it will keep the lighter color. So I'm going to be deleting this rectangle layer by clicking on delete here. Now I'm going to be turning on my layers back. Now what lighting will do is that it will keep the brighter color. It works the same way as screen, but they are not the same thing. What's happening? So click on your move tool, then come to multiply and come to your blend mode, then click on lighting. You can see it. Now what lighting will do is that it will keep the lighter color. Zoom in to see what we mean. It keeps the lighter color, which is white. Are we seeing it? So it keeps the lighter color. Then screen will invert the base color. Then it will multiply the bright colors. Meaning, when screen was turned on, if you look at lighting, see what lighting did. It did not amplify the white. It left the white. When you come to screen will not just make your color, will not just hide the black color. It will amplify the bright colors. It will amplify the bright color that you have on your design. Do you understand? That's what screen does. Same thing with color dodge. Color dodge just does times 2 of what screen does. If you look at screen now, see color dodge. Are you seeing the difference? Screen, color dodge. Color dodge amplifies it even more. So if you want a part of your image to be extremely bright, color dodge is your guy, or screen is your guy. Okay, then we have the linear dodge. Works the same way with color dodge. Okay, it works the same way with color dodge. Formerly this was known as glow dodge. Okay, it creates a stronger effect than the color dodge mode. So if you're looking for something extremely bright, color dodge is what? Linear dodge is your guy. So that's just it, a lighter color. Are you seeing it? These are what these things do. Then we have overlay. Now this overlay is something I use so much. Now what overlay does is it behaves like the screen mode in bright areas, and multiplies it. Okay, let me come again. It behaves like the screen mode in bright areas and multiply in dark areas. That is to say, it is screen and multiply blend mode together. It will amplify the dark areas to make the dark areas darker, and it will make the bright areas brighter. That's what overlay does. Then soft light, which is this one, soft light depends on the density of the superimposed color. Okay, it will create a brighter effect, like the dodge mode to create a brighter effect. So sort of just say soft light creates a more subtle effect, a less harsh effect than what overlay does. Let's see the difference. This is overlay, this is soft light. Overlay, soft light. Are you seeing it? It creates a more simpler effect, though they almost do the same thing. Just like the way lighting and screen is, that's how overlay and soft light is. Then we have the add light. Now this add light, it depends on the density of the superimposed color. That's the top one, which is the rectangle. So it will create a brighter effect, like the screen mode, add lights. Okay, then while the dark colors, we create darker colors, like the multiply mode. So the add light also behaves like the overlay, but more subtle in a sense. Then we have the vivid light. It makes the areas that are 100% black much darker, and it makes the areas that are white much brighter. So we have linear light, which also does the same thing like the vivid light, but much softer. Okay, then we have the pin lights. Okay, now this pin lights is almost the same thing as the linear lights, but much softer in a sense. Okay, then we have the add mix. Do not use this color unless you have to. Do not use this blend mode unless you have a reason to use it. Okay, you can see what the add mix does. Then we have difference. So the difference will subtract we keep the resulting value and combine it with the original base color to form a new color entirely. Are you saying it? To form a new color entirely. So you can see how this will help your design move further. Then we have hue and saturation. Now hue will make your underlying layer to take, hue is simply color actually. It will make your underlying layer to take the color of the layer you are adding it to, like you can see. So we have saturation, we have color, which work the same way with hue. Then we have luminosity. Now let me explain this hue color layer to you very well. Let's make this color. Double click on this icon here to change color. Go to red. Please follow my mouse. Then go to your blend mode and change it to hue. As you can see, what happened, our design is looking more, our background is looking more reddish. Let me increase this so that you see it. It's looking more reddish than before. Now if we change this to blue, double click again to change the color. I'm going to change the color to 0071BC. That's the color code. You can see how it looks. Then color also does the same thing. You can see that hue and color does the same thing, but hue looks more natural. That's why I go with hue all the time. So that's it. Saturation just amplifies your color. Yeah, it just makes your color more saturated than it was before. Okay, let's do that and see the difference. This is the main color, this is the new one after saturation. Okay, so that's it for your layer effects, your layer blend mode explanation. Thank you for watching. See you in the next class.